So now we will be starting with the basics of creating 2D shapes in Rhino. I will make a list of the commands that I use in this note over here, and you can follow along with me if you'd like. So to begin with, we're probably just going to use the top viewpoint, so we'll double click this to maximize it. Since we're only working in 2D at this point, we won't need the other viewpoints. So remember, you can hold down Control and right click and you can pan, and you can zoom in and out with your scroll wheel. You can also set these custom settings to be whatever is comfortable to you. So to begin with, I'm going to introduce some basic geometry that you can use in your shapes. So first we can start with line. Whoops, that's not how you spell line. So in its default form, line will prompt you to start the first point of your line and then drop the second point of your line anywhere you want it. That's fine. Say you want a more specific kind of line. You can hit Enter to redo the last command. So we'll start from the middle, and we want a line that is straight up. You can press and hold Shift and it will snap to the orthogonals here. See? That's cool. But what if we want a straight line that goes straight up that is 34 millimeters long? After we set down our origin point here, you can type in 35 and hit Enter. Now whatever line you place will definitely be 35 millimeters long. So I'm going to hold down Shift and click. It doesn't actually matter where the white part is because it'll always just place down at that 35 millimeter mark. And there you go. As you notice, you always have options whenever you start a command, different ways to change what your command is doing. So you can say you want your line to go on both sides, which means you click here and my line will grow out of my origin point from both sides. Again, you can always type in a specific measurement for both sides. That means it'll be 25 millimeters on both ends. And you can click to place that down. The best way to learn Rhino, in my opinion, is just to mess around and learn a couple of new things and try it until you get the hang of it. So you can place single line segments, or you can do Polyline. What a Polyline does is it's very similar to that. However, each time you click, it's a new line segment. This is a really good way to get just rough shapes out. Again, you can use that Shift key to create straight line segments. And then once you're done, you can manually close it, or you can select persistent close, meaning you can just hit Enter and it'll be closed from your last point. So now you have this pretty wonky shape, but it's all in one thing. I've been forgetting to write these down, I'm sorry. And that's cool. You can also do Polyline with arcs, which is really crazy. There's a lot of Rhino features where not necessarily when you'd be using them, but they're really fun to try and work out in the meantime. You can make some really crazy stuff. Once you have that, you can adjust your line shape in a couple different ways. One way is to select your shape and do Command PointsOn. PointsOn. See, the only great thing about this text input is it will give you related commands, so if you're not exactly sure for what your kind of command you're looking for, you can just search and just kind of type something out and you might get it. So PointsOn. So now you see each one of these has a control point that's become active. We can click and drag these control points and adjust our shape manually, which can be really handy for just making small little adjustments. Now, if you want to do greater adjustments or adjust the shape as a whole, you'll notice I can't click to select it like I have been doing. So you'll have to Command PointsOff to regain that kind of control. See, now I can click and move the whole thing around. Now say I want to work with each of these segments individually. I want to work with each of these individually. We can use one of my favorite named commands, explode. Explode, and you'll see down here, explode a curve into 19 segments. Explode will separate your curve or object into multiple segments. It can be really handy for just working out small bits of an object or lots of other things. I'm going to undo that with Command Z, Control Z for PC users. Another way to separate your curve is with split, which is a new favorite of mine. You can draw another line here. Say we're just going to do it just like that. And we're going to type in split. So it'll always give you prompts, instructions. So don't worry if you're using a new command, you'll figure it out. So we want to split this big polyline we made here. So we'll select that and hit enter. And the cutting object is the line that I just drew that I want to use to split my polyline. I'll select that and click enter. So now you'll see one curve split into two pieces. Each one of these is now its own piece. And I can just delete this if I want. I'm going to go back and show you another way to split. So you can actually say, well, first you're going to select this and click point. So instead of selecting like a line that we're using as a border to split an object, we're actually just going to point about all the places we want. Now notice these little things that are popping up as I follow the line, on curve, and etc. Those are controlled by this. This is Smart Track. So we can adjust where it picks up on helping points. So on curve or center, things like that point. So if I didn't have end on, it wouldn't snap to certain things. It's really helpful to try and play around with that. Things like that. So now we've put down a couple of points. We can hit enter, and you'll see it's been split into pieces at the points that I specified. So that's easy if you don't want to just draw a line.